One of the things that I did while I was doing research for this project in Jamaica was to go to where I knew Taylor's grave was in eastern Jamaica and try and find it. And I had some help doing that. I asked around when I arrived in this small town of Lysons and found folks who were really friendly and helped me to locate this site. It's hidden away. There's not much that's left of the grave site of Taylor. It would have once been this huge monument, but now it's derelict. The plaque's still there, but you have to really work to find it. And it's a reminder, I think, that Taylor's been forgotten in Jamaica, but he's also been forgotten in Britain as well. And he was an incredibly powerful and wealthy individual, probably the most powerful man and influential man in Jamaica at the end of the 18th, beginning of the 19th century. And he's an important and influential voice in the debate about slavery and the slave trade that's taking place in Britain. Although he lives in Jamaica, he's corresponding with powerful voices in the pro-slavery lobby back in London. So for somebody who's that significant, that powerful, that wealthy, it's remarkable that he's been forgotten. And I think one of the reasons for that is that there are more upbeat stories that people like to tell themselves about slavery and abolition. So for instance, in Britain, it tends to be William Wilberforce who people remember, because the story of abolition is a much happier one and one that's much easier to celebrate than the story of slavery. But the story of slaveholders is important. If we want to understand the history of the British Empire, particularly in the 18th century, if we want to understand the history of the politics of how that empire then was transformed in the first half of the 19th century, it's absolutely essential to understand slaveholders like Simon Taylor. And it's also essential to study them because their influence lives on beyond slavery. So clearly, the sorts of ideas that they perpetuated about, for example, white supremacy, don't die with slavery itself. The institution can be abolished, but a lot of what went with it and supported it lives on long beyond the institution. And so for those kinds of reasons, Simon Taylor, the world that he created, and the kind of ideas that underpin that world are absolutely essential for us to focus on and try to understand.